I don't even know if you can handle it. I don't know if you can.
Hey, yo, Ren, turn that up.
I don't even know if you can handle it. All I know is you can have it. I don't even know if you can handle it. All I know is you can have it. I don't even know if you can handle it. All I know is you can have it.
Alright, it's your boy, Big Nah, Cosmic Chris Nah, and today we got a powerful video, you know what I'm saying? Title speak for itself, episode 2 of the Razor Frequency series. We got Dr. KHALID Muhammad, one of the top, if not the top, revolutionary leader that Black people has ever had and produced. For those who don't know of him, you need to go do your research ASAP. He is one of the people who real life changed my life. He's a Capricorn just like I am, so that naturally drawn me toward him. And once I got a hold of his information and seeing how his mind works, I promise you he's one of the types that will elevate your life graciously. Now, you know how I do it. I like to get right into the video because this video is a powerful one. This one is well worth the whole watch. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, the title speaks for itself. It's a classic video back from like about in the 90s, I believe. KHALID Muhammad was on the panel on the Heraldo show on CBS. He now works for Fox News, by the way, but Heraldo had his own show, and they had a panel where they discussed O.J. Simpson, and it just turned into a powerful revolutionary interview. So we're going to get straight into the video. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into this. And for everybody who don't know who Dr. KHALID Muhammad is, you know what I'm saying? And especially for the people that's on Sinetta TV, if you've never seen this video, I'm going to tell you right now, you're welcome. You know what I'm saying? Because I know it's going to affect you in a different type of light. So let's just get right into this. You know what
I'm saying? Welcome back, everybody. Sorry about the false start. We're at the Greater Scripture Cathedral, right in the northwest section of our nation's capital, literally in the shadow of the Capitol building itself. We're still in the opening statements. I hope the program goes 2 hours, but Dr. Alvin Toussaint of Harvard, a man who is esteemed around the nation, an advisor to television programs, an expert on racism. What, sir, do you feel the Simpson metaphor has meant to race relations in the country? Well, now in which I think we have been talking about and we have on the program Dr. Gross. You don't have to listen if you want, but understand what we need to in relationship to ourselves as a people, and understand what Heraldo is doing too in terms of exploitation of this whole event and some of the black leadership in relationship to black people, and then see and try to understand where that puts us, right? How we appear and how we look. We can't discuss justice for black people when KHALID Muhammad is sitting there, who has said some of the most outrageous anti-Semitic, anti-Catholic things you can imagine on college campuses. He was dismissed by Minister Farrakhan. Not true, sir. He was dismissed by Minister Farrakhan, and I read what he said, and I've seen what he said, and that's my feeling. Listen, Malik, you said no one should interrupt each other, okay?
You said
You said no one should interrupt each other. I'm telling you, he has said the most anti-Semitic. He knows he has. Minister Farrakhan dismissed him because he did. Right? We all know that, and we all know what he's done. I think for us to be talking about human rights for black Americans in this kind of a setting without dealing with that is setting us all up to look a little bit freakish and clownish in relationship to this whole show, and I think it's another form of black exploitation. And I feel about it so strongly, I'm going to walk out of here. Now, you can do what you want to do, Bye-bye. But I'm not staying to be part of
He's afraid that the white folks at Harvard University want to say
Yeah, just real quick. And like I see in the first minute, this is the type of man he is. Alpha male, already got the beta males walking out, you got the beta males trying to cuss him out and walk out like a female. You know what I'm saying? This real raw. I'm telling y'all need to go research that man if you don't know who he is. For all black people, I'm telling you, I didn't put this series together for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Go do your due diligence and search up Dr. Khalid Muhammad. But I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna get right back into it. You feel me? Let's go.
I urge the audience, don't let him.
And I especially urge Mr. Muhammad not to let that be a self-fulfilling prophecy. There are important issues to be discussed. There's a wildly diverse panel. It is true. Now we hear from Chip.
I'm distressed by a lot of things tonight. I'm particularly distressed at the response to Professor Poussaint. We're having the courage to say what he believes and to make a decision that it didn't feel comfortable for him to be here and he would leave. Those of you who were saying get out, I'm really distressed by that behavior. I'm distressed also,
As am I,
that so much energy has been expended on O.J. Simpson, a person who is not worthy of our obsession. I hope that tomorrow morning, beginning bright and early, that we, particularly Black Americans, will expend as much energy and passion and exercise our right to vote. I hope we will see the connection between voting and reforming not only the political system, but the justice system. And I hope we'll talk about that later. One other thing, I'm distressed that there seems to be this very unhealthy litmus test, to borrow your word, on blackness. We are more diverse than we are acting. We do not all agree with each other. We should not try to score brownie points tonight. If this is for us to have a principled discussion, I'm all for it. If it's to be who's more popular, then I may be out of here too.
I'm going to take a break. I hope that the comments remain moderate, or I'm going to be sitting up here soon by myself. I hope that doesn't happen. Come back to the Greater Scripture Cathedral. We are taking a break. We shall return. One quick point, it is not in my defense at all, but it was Malik who kind of was the co-organizer here who invited Mr. Muhammad. He speaks here. This is a free country, and whatever his ideas, you are on, Mr. Muhammad.
The United States of America does not have the moral right to try any black man or black woman in the courts of America. This is a criminal justice system that was established by criminals. It was not the aristocracy of Europe, but it was the dregs and the criminals of Europe. The Thomas Jefferson, the founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, down the line, owned the slaves and the criminals. Every law in the Penal Code of California, every law in the Penal Code of the District in Maryland, and all of the states of the United States was broken by the white man in order to establish that state and this nation. If I poll the audience and ask the audience if the white man committed cold-blooded murder in order to establish the state of California and all of the states. How many would agree? If I turn to the audience and ask the audience if the white man violated the penal code of kidnapping, which should be every hand in here should go up because you wouldn't be here at Scripture Cathedral tonight if you hadn't been kidnapped.
Okay, all right. Mr. Muhammad, that's your minute. Tavis, you got a minute and a half till the break.
And respectfully to Dr. Muhammad, if I poll the audience and ask how many people are in here tonight, they'd all applaud because they're obviously here. The point I'm making is that these are simple questions. Of course, the answer to these questions, oftentimes that we ask about issues of race and injustice in this country, are simple questions. The answer to many of them is yes. Having said that, I don't think any of us, though, wants to live in a country where criminals can run free. There are white criminals. There are African-American criminals. The reason why I reject the notion that black folks let O.J. Simpson off simply because he was black is because we are the disproportionate victims of violent crime. African Americans want people locked up when they are thugs, just as anybody else does. And I'm not suggesting that Mr. Simpson was in fact a thug, but the point is we have to talk about issues of race and justice in an environment where we can have a decent and logical conversation. And I applaud Dr. Poussin for doing what he did if that's what he felt he had to do.
Why aren't you going? What? How come you're not walking?
Because we are, as Chip said a moment ago, diverse group of people. Black folks are not monolithic in the way we think or in the way we act. If he wants to move, that's his business. I want to stay here and talk about these issues.
Me too. I'm staying, and we'll be back right after the short commercial break. Stay tuned. We're back at the Greater Scripture Cathedral, a wonderful institution. How old is this church, Bishop?
This church is 9 years old.
9 years old. It's a wonderful building. We have
This is the third time I've built here. We cannot build a church large enough to contain our people.
well, it's a testament to your eloquence. Ma'am, you're on the air.
Yes, good evening. My question, my mother insisted I come up here and ask this question to Christopher Darden. She said she's praying for you, and she wants to know how in good consciousness can you go around the country continuing to say that O.J. is guilty after a verdict has been rendered? Is that an ethical kind of behavior? Number one, my question also from my mother is, Heraldo, I am so sorry that Dr. Poussin left because she's suggesting that you get some help because with all of this, yes, because let me just make this point. I mean, Heraldo, everybody can't be wrong. Now, if everybody is telling you that you're obsessed with O.J., that's something you need to look at.
Okay.
You know, I've been a prosecutor for 15 years, and I have seen many, many victims of homicide. Most often they were Hispanic, and most often they were African American. And I've been to the funerals, and I've sat with the mothers and the fathers and the children who lost their parents. And I have made a commitment I made years ago to the families of homicide victims. You talk about ethics. You know, there are legal bitterness, but that is what I believe based on the evidence. And I'll tell you something. If it was anybody else who did what I believe that he did, just
I can't very quickly, let me quote James Baldwin, a great black writer, for those who don't know, who once said that color is not a human or a personal reality. It is a political reality. And no one better than black folks know that to be the case. As I said earlier, I think that because black folks aren't monolithic, because we don't think and act the same, Chris and I are friends, and we've disagreed vehemently on this case. You and I are friends, we've disagreed vehemently, but I respect people's right to have their own opinion. And Christopher Darden is entitled, as he said, to have his own opinion, no matter how vehemently and how adamantly we disagree with that. But let me follow up very quickly though, on something that has been around 2 or 3 times already that I've been in hours, and they were in the black community made you the enemy. Thesis. I think it may very well be because, unlike any of the other just covering this case, I think many in the African American community have seen you become personally involved, not just as not just as a journalist covering it, but you befriended the family, you befriended the Goldman family, you had them on your show, they've been at your house. We know this from hearing you say it on your show, we read it in the paper. I think many are put off by the fact that you stepped across the line of journalism and journalistic integrity as they see it, and became personally involved. And the bottom line is, I only say that because the bottom line is this. And this may or may not make you feel better. But the bottom line is, you got involved in it personally. I respect that. That's how you feel. You're entitled to do that. But there's a consequence to getting involved in something this big that personally. Johnny Cochran, on the other side of the coin, has the same thing to deal with. Johnny Cochran has had a long and distinguished career of representing those amongst our community who are the least among us, the socially, the economically, the politically disenfranchised. Johnny has had a long career of representing those people, and now for the rest of his life, he will be remembered for having represented one man, O.J. Simpson. That's not fair to Johnny. It's not fair to you, but that's the price we pay when we become that personally involved in a case this big that we have made the trial of the century.
Yeah. Hispanic.
So seem to endorse my murder.
No, son. You have character assassinated and murdered the image of the black man on the daily Inquisition. Can I speak, though?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this
as long
is
as you say you don't want me murdered.
Okay. I can't comment on that, sir. You have to ask the audience on that.
Do you want me murdered? Thank you. Thank you. Malik says he represents some portion of you. He refuses to say that he doesn't want me off the face of the earth.
This is what I'm talking about.
All right.
Let's break this down.
You said it on the air.
Let's listen to this. Okay. You have achieved your position and status off of the backs of affirmative action in the blood of Medgar Evers, Rosa Parks, and black people, and you have risen on their backs, and now it seems to everyone that you have turned on them and become the agent of this conspiracy by CNN, CBS, ABC, and these stations to criminalize black people and use O.J. Simpson as a vehicle. White America, and they're using you as the agent, have been used to lynching a black man regardless of whether he's guilty or not. Emmett Till, Mac Parker, the Scottsboro boys, drowned in the lakes, the rivers, the brooks, and the streams. And now you have joined them in this attack, regardless to what you've done in the past that has been positive. Your negatives now clearly outweigh and outnumber your positives.
I disagree with that. I totally disagree, Malik. Totally disagree with that.
So I guess what we're going to do is we're going to
disagree with that.
Indeed,
Dr. Muhammad.
Indeed, Heraldo, you have taken the point on this because you do not openly, on all occasions, really admit that your mother is Jewish and your connection and tarnished relationship with the Goldman family.
Khalid, I'm telling you, if this gets into an anti-Semitic ramble, then I'm going to walk off the show.
And the rumors of your personal behind closed doors dealings with Denise Brown and the Brown family, which has been circulated all across the country.
How far do you go before it is beneath contempt? How far do you go before it's beneath contempt?
Which has been circulated.
You promised you would stick on the issue. Is that the issue?
Not
you want to bring up personal issues about yourself?
You need to finish as you have permitted others to finish.
All right, but don't.
And so your Jewish backers have put you out front.
I am very proud. I've got a Star of David.
They have put you out front.
They have put you.
Peep how Heraldo started cutting him off and how he about to shut down this question, but he didn't cut off the dude who wanted to cuss KHALID out and then walk off. He smiled a little bit, but he didn't do all that. But look, just keep watching. Just peep game.
Try this case every night on public television so that the jury that is not sequestered can see you try it every night, and you will impact on the
I have put more African-American intellectuals on the air than any producer in the history of television. I do the fairest, most balanced,
negatives outweigh your
program on the air, Khalid.
You know what? I wish to hear more from the audience than to hear you gentlemen argue about points that you will never win.
My name is Hiram Ashanti, and I'm a member of the United for Success organization in Philadelphia under the leadership of Kabir Das. My question is to Dr. Will these white groups, the NEA, birth, the ADL,
why would you put all of those together?
What would your suggestion?
You're comparing the ADL
What we're discussing is racism here, Heraldo, and I'm discussing another factor of racism. We've seen what's happened right there in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yes, and that's a real issue. Stick
Yes,
to that
it is.
issue. That's a real issue.
And
Why
the
not?
issue that I'm
stopping a black motorist, he ends up dead for no apparent reason.
Exactly. So
That's
my
a real
question
issue.
is to Brother
But stop
Khalid,
this
how do we
anti-Semitic
confront
viewing.
these new forming militias? Should black men take up arms?
Should black men take up arms? Is that the question?
Yes, sir.
My God, is that where this discussion is going?
Would you allow him to answer the question, sir?
Bishop, is that where we want this discussion to go? Absolutely.
Khalid.
Black men take up arms? That question is not permitted on this program. I'm going to take a break if you don't
want me to answer that?
No, Khalid, I do not. I do not.
Peep game, yo. Peep fucking game. Talking about not permitted on this program. What, the Second Amendment not permitted on your program? They can't talk about the Second Amendment? Why not? That shit crazy, man. Keep watching, man.
I do not. That is an appalling question.
Too black and too strong.
We'll be right back.
This program is brought to you by...
It is the trial of the century. There is no doubt, at least in the televised half of the century.
It is not the trial of the century.
Khalid, with all due respect, at least in the televised half of the 20th century.
McVeigh is the trial of the century.
It is the most attention given to any civil case ever.
How could the lives of two people weigh more than close to 150?
I'm talking to Chip. Is it possible that this one issue, this one case, first the criminal case, now the civil case, has helped America move away from? Malik correctly points out that I am a product of affirmative action. Has this helped America move away from affirmative action, move away from welfare or welfare reform, move away from a kind of open-hearted compassion toward immigration, for example?
Well, if it has, isn't that a very sad commentary on us? O.J. Simpson, before June 12, 1994, was not the symbol of any kind of movement for justice in this country. So why should his plight now be an excuse to eliminate affirmative action, shut the doors to immigrants, et cetera, et cetera? We're mixing so many things up here. I personally prefer that we have dispassionate conversation about this and sort out what's relevant to the O.J. Simpson criminal and civil matters, and what's relevant in the bigger picture. I think we can almost forget O.J. Simpson and still discuss some very serious issues that will not be resolved by a show every night on the latest in O.J. Simpson. I want us to really look at what's going on. As I said in my few little opening remarks, there is a direct connection between casting your votes and what ultimately happens in the political system and in the justice system. Jurors are chosen in most jurisdictions among voters, people who register to vote. People who vote can elect judges. People who vote can have some say-so in who President Clinton, or God forbid, President Dole, will appoint to the United States Supreme Court. And those judges will have much more of an impact on us and our children and children.
Harris and then Malik.
Chip is right to suggest it be a sad reality. Many of us, for every action, of course, there is an opposition. And I don't think many of us connect the outrage that many innocent verdict what happened on election day tomorrow. That's why that connect has to be there. And the real challenge is, beyond talking about issues of race and justice tonight, what we vote and how we vote tomorrow, and whether or not in fact, we vote tomorrow, is going to really decide the issues of economic justice and race in this country. If we don't vote tomorrow, and Bob Dole, for example, does in fact win, we may be looking at 1, 2, or 3 more.
Don't make me give equal time to one candidate or the other. Let me ask. I'm going to ask, and then you can answer it any way you want. It seems to me, and this was basically my remarks to the people gathered here before the program went on the air. It seems to me that in my life, and now I'm in my 50s, there has never been an election in which less was said that was relevant to people of color, especially disadvantaged people, than in this election. Are you concerned about that?
I'm not surprised at all. I have according to factual research and looking at the everyday life of black people, that the Democratic Party nor the Republican Party means any good for the true justice and liberation of black people. One of the greatest dopes in the black community is too much hope in the vote for a Clinton or a Dole. And I ask all of black America who's watching, are you really better off than you were 4 years ago under Bill Clinton? I don't have any faith, but I do have faith in certain jurisdictions where we can elect a sister like Maxine
You're not
Waters
telling people not to
and
vote,
others.
are you?
I'm telling people not to vote in the presidential election, because I'm telling people that because no black person of character would keep casting their vote for someone who's doing nothing
Bishop
for
Warren,
them.
join me in disagreeing, then I'll let Malik finish.
Well, I disagree with that. I think on tomorrow everybody should join him in agreement. However, I'm asking a lot of questions. There are a lot of calls coming in, and they're asking why that I invite you here. I invited you here because I will trust a man when he tells me something. You said you was coming to this community to help this community and let people know all over the country that you're not a racist.
I think that even the question is so insulting to me. Do you want me to go through my resume?
No. I don't need you to go back through that. I just want you on national television to reaffirm or confirm that commitment that you made to this community, to this church.
Bishop Long, I will let me say, wait, if you're talking about me personally, O.J. Simpson came to this very stage and walked away with dollars from this congregation and the people gathered here. I have come to the stage and I've made, I think you would all consider, the bishop you would consider, although you have not acknowledged, a personal contribution. I put money into this community because I did not want, unlike the Simpson evening, for anyone to be charged 5 cents to come in. That I have already done. My record in terms of philanthropy is unmatched by anyone on the so-called dream team who is criticizing me now.
Heraldo,
It is absolutely unmatched.
Heraldo, you allowed your staff, your producers.
What are you saying, Bishop? I don't understand
this church.
They have
by
not.
saying, yes, they did. They said this church was not doing anything for the poor.
I don't know who said that.
Why?
You're getting all the...
I simply,
not on my staff that said you weren't doing anything for the community.
this was allowed that to happen.
Okay, Bishop,
Malik,
please. Okay.
I would appreciate
Oh, my
it.
God. I don't know where
I would
we're going.
appreciate it.
Malik, you want to... yes.
So I'd like
You
to talk about racism. I think you've categorized all black people and all black churches as being the same. We have not taken anything from this.
Absolutely not true.
I can tell you one thing. We can sit here all night and have Bishop Long and go off on you about whatever check you may or may not have written.
I wrote it. I wrote the check.
Thank you.
I handed it to you.
Thank you. No.
I know you were, but the point I can tell you this though, I am not going to let this show end this hour. I will never ever sit in my lifetime on a stage, with all due respect to Malik, and listen to any black man tell black folks not to go vote. That is insane. That is insane.
Ridiculous. Now listen to the applause. We'll be right back. Greater Scripture Cathedral, I apologize for some of what has been said here and the direction this discussion has taken. It has not worked out the way I had hoped and prayed it would. We haven't confronted the big issue here, but Dr. Muhammad.
We're taught by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that of all our studies, history is best qualified to reward our research. As we look at the history of the vote, we will find that during Reconstruction, it looked like a period of political prosperity. We were mayors, we were sheriffs, we were in Congress, we were in the Senate. At one point, we even were governor of a particular state. And B.K. Bruce had his signature on all paper money. No matter how racist one was, they had to spend money with the signature of B.K. Bruce. However, there was what was called a white male ego backlash, which is what we're witnessing today. And blacks were then swept from all seats of the Senate and Congress at the whim of white ego. And we were swept from the office of mayor, from sheriff, and that period of political prosperity was erased in the twinkling of an eye. A voter rights bill was passed, a civil rights bill was passed, but then erased, and you had to get a new voter rights bill and a new civil rights bill. How many times will we go around and round in this vicious cycle? One last point, the Supreme Court has now handed down a ruling that a black voting bloc constituency, that there is now a ruling that it is unconstitutional to have a majority minority
That's true, because of gerrymandering no, Chris.
We're about to wrap the show up.
We are about to wrap
But I can only say that I am disappointed. I don't think that this is the image that we as black men, and certainly Ship as a black woman, wanted to portray to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. But
no, you got to go.
But if people have learned anything about us at all, they've learned that we don't all look alike, and we don't all think alike, and we don't all talk alike.
Maybe there is that. Maybe there is that. At least we've busted.
There's no place, I think, in this community for racist statements or anti-Semitism. We get nowhere with that. We will never get anywhere with that. And we're only hurting ourselves. And we're only hurting ourselves.
Take my 30 seconds. How have you been hurt by your association with this case?
Well, a job to do. I went to did that job, taking a lot of flex from my community. But on the other hand, I've gotten a lot of afraid to be here. I feel good being here. I feel good being here with you today, tonight, Bishop, and with you, Malik. And we've got a long ways to go. Tomorrow we're going to fight for affirmative action in California. That's what we ought to be about, thinking about this.
For freedom and independence and a nation of our own.
Let me
only fight for this freedom and independence by exercising your right to the franchise. You have to
The
vote.
founding fathers of America didn't vote in the British Empire.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Greater Scripture Cathedral, and those of you watching at home, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
There you got it. You know what I'm saying? There you got it. Powerful information. You know what I'm saying? Good video to watch. Good watch. Things you can take from that video. You can start thinking a little different and start recognizing what people are really out here doing, how people are really maneuvering, what they really want to be said and what they don't want to be said. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, go do your due diligence. Go search up Dr. KHALID Muhammad if you don't know who he is. If you do know who he is, you know what I'm saying? Resurface. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with doubling back. I always watch the same shit I like. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 2 or 3 times. Ain't nothing wrong with watching shit 3 years ago and then coming back 3 years later to see what you might have missed, you know what I'm saying, or something that you might understand a little better, you know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all go check that out. And man, follow what that nigga Christopher Darden was talking about at the end of that video, man. Who are you to say what's Semitic, anti-Semitic or not, you know what I'm saying? And then at that's all biblical anyway. Like the Semites, the Hamites, the Canaanites, and all that. I mean, why aren't you saying people are being anti-Hamitic or, you know what I'm saying, anti-Canaanites or something? Like y'all just saying whatever as talking points. It's the same shit. If y'all haven't realized, you know what I'm saying, it's 2024. That's like I said, that shit back in like the 90s. Same shit today, 20 years later, you know what I'm saying, 30 years later, same shit going on. That was going on back then, is going on now. And that's why it's important for you to understand consciously and be aware of your surroundings and join the good fight when the opportunity presents itself. Now make sure that you do your due diligence, do your research, and add hopefully the most righteous and positive things that'll actually improve your life into your life, and not just, you know what I'm saying, take people's word, you know what I'm saying, and just run with it or just repeat what you hear. That's not it, you know what I'm saying. You need to research KHALID, research more people, cross-reference the information, see what's true, see what's false. You know what I'm saying? That's all you got to do, is see what's true and see what's false. Use discernment. But with that being said, we're going to get on out of here. You feel me? Big Nine, Cosmic Chris.
Hey, yo, Ray, turn that up. I don't even know if you can handle it. All I know is you can have it. I don't even know if you can handle it.